There is one Daytona in the world that I think is worth buying. And today we're talking about it and why I just might sell my whole watch collection to own it. Even though, let's get real, I don't have to.
No, you did not.
What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael, and this video is sponsored by Fake Fragrances.
More on them later.
Yes,
Today's
indeed.
episode is great. We're talking about a series of watches that I really don't give much love to at all. The Rolex Daytona. I know this is a cliche conversation, but the actual details of this conversation are everything but cliche, okay?
Yes.
The Rolex Daytona gets a hell of a lot of praise. Deservedly so at a level, but the praise has become absolutely ridiculous, right? I mean, having to wait on a line for, not only wait on a line for years, but go to a fucking dealer and they're like, honestly, don't even put your name on the list. There is no list. You're never going to get called.
You
go
can't get
yourself.
One. Right.
That is insane to me. That is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And frankly, for a watch, that's great.
Of course.
But come on. That watch is not. Like,
that watch is not, you can't get this watch.
Come on. Exactly.
Right.
There's nothing about that watch that is, like proportionately special, right, or rare.
I feel like that is the pinnacle of humanity, is if aliens came down and were like, okay, what objects do you worship? We're like, this one.
They're like, really?
But what about that one? That one's way more detailed.
Skull?
And
like, that's an Indiana Jones movie.
That's from a movie.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. We made that like a bunch of years ago. You guys should want that.
You're kidding.
So that's the thing, right? I think the Rolex Daytona is great. I'm sure that 1,000 of you viewers out there that are watching this own those watches. They're great.
I want one. We just made a video about me wanting one.
Michael wants one. Let's sell his whole watch collection to buy one. And I don't care about that watch. That watch does literally zero for me. Yes. Absolutely nothing. It's great. I love it. I love it if you love it. I love it if you love it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But there's one Daytona to me that is something that, whether you sell your whole watch collection or whether you need to kill somebody for it or you need to...
You would kill someone for this watch.
Make a deal with the devil. I don't know what you need to do.
Wow.
But there are arguments that this watch is doing a lot of bad shit for.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
And this is one watch, but it's a member of a small series of watches, Rolex Daytonas.
Yes.
They came out in the 1920s. They came out in the early 2000s.
Yes.
The series is called the Beach Daytonas.
Totally, well, interestingly, total departure from what we would expect from Rolex. But last year's releases, I would say, no, it makes total sense. Like the Celebration dial and the Puzzle dial both look like they could be, although extravagant, cousins of this watch.
Exactly right. There's a lineage here at Rolex that kind of lays the foundation for these watches.
Yeah.
Go back into the 1970s. You have the Stella dials,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Go back a couple years ago. You've got the OPs, right? There's a lot of legitimacy
well, watches out there,
right? So these Beach Daytonas are absolutely incredible. They were exclusively manufactured in white gold. There were 4 of them: green, blue, and then 2 mother of pearls, one pink and one yellow. Really unbelievable watches.
Yes.
And the best, I think by a significant margin, is the green. Green happens to be my favorite color.
Yes.
When I was a young man, my mom wanted me to wear a shirt that my uncle had brought back for me from Paris.
Yes.
And it was green. I was going to school. My mom was like, you need to put on this green shirt. And I said, I hate green. And she goes, Christian, green is your favorite color. And I said, well, yes, of course it is, mother. I know that. Put on the shirt, and green's my favorite color since.
Yes.
I love green. I was looking for green pens today.
Nice.
Not
to write in green?
Not the ink. To own like a really, really beautiful like stone pen.
You sent me a letter just, hey, happy Monday.
There's hearts over the eyes.
Yeah.
So my point is that this watch is the best of the 4. Okay. Now, these watches traded in the $20,000 range, frankly, even lower for years.
These were skip over watches. These were watches you saw in a listing and you thought like, oh, it's a pretty terrible mod. Like, I'm not going to get that watch.
Desirable watches.
Yes.
And this shows you, particularly this one green model, shows you that people are sheep, and what is incredible can sleep under their noses forever, and they'll just never know until some influencer tells them.
We're not looking...
And I'm not making fun of you guys, and if you're being honest with yourself, that's a little bit true. It's true for everybody to a degree.
Sure.
It's true for everybody to a degree. But let's just be a little bit better, because this watch was always great. This green Beach Daytona was always great. The color is far more subtle than the blue, and certainly more than the yellow and pink. Yes. Right? Those watches are a little bit ridiculous.
The yellow, I think, looks gross.
But the green is something that's really special, I think. Okay, they traded in the 20s for years, below 20s. I know a guy that bought the green for 14. right? Not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
Think about that. I was just starting Theo and Harris for $9,000, and this guy just put 14 into a beach Daytona. He did a lot better than I did.
Yes.
Meaning, like, with the
Even till now.
once you factor in the amount, you know,
he would have made
like,
he made more now than the entirety of Theo and Harris.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I bought both little Rolexes and was trying to make $200, and this guy parked the same amount of money functionally in one watch and killed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't need the velocity of money. He was able to park it. The point is, these watches were always great. They traded in the 20s and they went to the 40s. During COVID, they were in the 80s. And the blue ones, because of the Tiffany blue from Tiffany, were over 100. Think about that. $100,000 back from 12 or 14.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow.
That's a modern Paul Newman, meaning the meteoric rise on a Rolex Daytona. Okay. So now they're back down. They're back down into the 60s, but I say they're a soft 60s. I would say that you could probably find one in the high 50s. I think that's probably possible.
And if you find one there, could I get it to 50? If I miss
I don't know about 50.
55?
I could see in the high 50s you can get one of these watches.
Okay.
Right? It may take some arguing. It may take some, patience.
Oh, high 50s is the arguing.
Right. Because I think that a lot of the people that own these watches own them at really cheap.
Sure.
They're owning them at 15, 20, 25. So they're like, I can hold on to this. I don't need to take 58. I don't need $58,000.
Right.
I want 65.
Yeah.
You see the point?
Yeah.
So they're little stubborn little bastards. But my point is that this watch at $65,000 is more interesting, even at $60,000, is more interesting than so much that's out there at $60,000. Now, not just more interesting, more rare, and from a better brand. Well, what does $60,000 get you at Rolex?
Right now?
Yeah. Get you a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Almost get you everything.
But does it, almost get you everything.
Yeah.
But does it get you anything as distinctive or as rare?
And with history.
Right. No.
Right.
Get you a platinum Daytona. Actually, platinum Daytona is actually a little bit more than that. Get you a platinum day date, right? For sure. The platinum day date in any size or any bezel will never be a beach Daytona. It will never be as distinctive. It will never be as limited. It will never be as much of a story, this lore. The beach Daytona is a piece of lore, and lore is what breaks records and watches.
There is no comeback story for a platinum day date. It's always been a platinum day date. So it's like, yeah, cool. Like the hypey guys got them and then they sold them for more. That's fantastic. This is the watch where it was like nobody wanted it. It was super ugly. Like I started to like it a while ago. You had that come up story where you're like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Dead on.
Yeah.
Dead on. Today's episode is sponsored by Fake Fragrances, which is one of my favorite sponsors in a long time.
One of my favorite names of a company.
Absolutely. Fake Fragrances is essentially a manufacturer of replica fragrances. And frankly, I don't have any problem with it at all. I think that fragrances are way overpriced and ridiculous.
Yeah.
These designer fragrances, they're very beautiful, and I would imagine they're very luscious and delicious and all these. I can't smell, I don't know.
Okay.
But the point of what I'm trying to say is like, I don't know. Like I would never sniff someone in theory and be like, is that fake Chanel? Like, you just smell great.
Right.
Growing up, I just hit myself with rosemary. That is what...
Really? That's very Italian.
I think that's very one with nature. My grandmother was like, just use rosemary. It's better. And I was like, okay, great.
Okay.
Why? Because they didn't have money for fucking Chanel Blue, right?
Sure.
But now, fast forward, and
you won't pay
while
money
I
for
could,
Chanel
in theory, buy Chanel Blue, in theory, I won't because it's way overpriced. Screw that.
Yep.
I would much rather, honestly, it sounds crazy because I'm such a real watch guy that I'm totally a fake fragrance guy.
And Fake Fragrances actually say at their core, they're dedicated to delivering products of unparalleled quality. Their fragrances are meticulously crafted to guarantee an extraordinary scent experience.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a designer name, that doesn't mean they're cheaping out on how to make them and what they smell like.
Exactly.
So if that's something you're interested in, which I highly suggest you try out,
really
try to sample.
Especially if you work in an office or going on dates or anything like that. Come on, let's smell great.
Yeah. You can check out the link in the description and use our code Theo Harris to save 20% off your entire order plus get free shipping.
I highly recommend it. I think the fragrances are important, but they're so overpriced, and Fake Fragrances is the solution.
I agree.
No one with a platinum Daytona is ever going to say to you, well, actually, they only made this for...
For everybody.
For everybody. Anyone with the money, right? And I love the platinum Daytona. God, I wish I want a platinum Daytona very, very bad.
Yeah.
Badly. It's an adverb. But the point is, I do it to myself too. See, I do it to you sometimes, but I do it to myself too.
I don't remember you doing it to me once.
I've done it to you. I've corrected your adverbs before.
You sure? Oh,
Surely.
Are you surely?
That's the thing with these Daytonas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So why don't I buy one?
Okay.
Because the question
Yes.
is, should I liquidate my whole collection and buy one?
Here's a question before
Of
you
course,
even
I'm not going to do that.
ask that question.
Yeah.
When and at what price did you say, I kind of want one of these watches?
65,000.
65,000. So a little higher than they are now.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I wanted one at 65,000. That's just a lot of money.
I know.
Like, even on an emotional level, that's a lot of money.
On any level.
That's like, you know what I mean? Well, sometimes the emotion is actually more important on either end. Like, people emotionally think that they can afford more than they can.
Okay, sure.
I never feel that way because while I'm not paranoid about money, I'm paranoid about ever being like hard for money. Like that.
Sure.
You know, one of the luxuries of like, you know, maybe doing a little bit okay in life is to try to never like be like, holy shit, I gotta pay my bills.
Sure.
That's bad. Like,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of you guys are living like that right now. And if that's because you spend too much money, then
And if that's because you have a beautiful watch on your wrist, you
Then
probably
you're missing the point of life, right?
Yeah.
And I get that a little bit of stress is like good, and I guess that a little bit of stress is like, I saw Boiler Room, I get it, but in a more real way, like that's not the point of money. Like,
Right. What you
I'm not here to
always
give
say
life
is
advice, but like,
you work so hard and you have a beautiful watch collection. What if it was a little less beautiful? What would
100%.
happen?
And guess what? No one cares that it's $50,000 more in value.
I said to Taylor also, I was like, I'm thinking
No
about
one's
selling my
rooting for
watches.
you, by the way. Like, you
No
know
one
what I mean?
ever
Like,
is.
the guy at your Red Bar meetup, he's not like,
He's not like, oh, I hope Christian gets the beach Daytona.
no, he's saying, where the did Michael get all this fucking money?
Yeah,
And he's an
exactly.
idiot. And that stupid hair.
He's an idiot.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Meanwhile, your real friends are obviously like, hey, man, like, I'm so happy to see your success. Also, like, you're doing this for you, right?
Right.
Because if you're doing this for someone else, I'll never forget. Sam, said to me when I first got in my first nice car, it was a Mercedes-Benz E-Class coupe.
Yeah.
I think when I was like 21. It was a great car. I really, really loved it. It meant a lot to me. And I was on a walk with Sam, and I saw an SL like 63.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm gonna get that car next.
Yeah.
Mind you, this is like a week after I got my E-Coupe.
Yeah.
And Sam was like, dude, you gotta fucking chill. Like, chill out. That's not cool. What you just said right now, that was weird. It's not cool. Be happy.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's a good friend.
Yeah.
You just totally checked me. That is a good friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I think that we should all be a little bit more like that sometimes when it comes to watches. It's like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
like, you don't need everything.
It's also,
And no one else gives a I care
Exactly.
on the opposite end. You know what I mean?
like I said to Taylor recently, I'm considering selling my watches, and she said, "I thought you already sold them." I was like, "I wear them regularly." Like,
no one noticed.
Those are them. It's like,
Yep.
no one knows.
She's like, well, why would
Someone
you
that
sell those?
lives
They
in my
look so
apartment
cheap.
doesn't know.
They look
What?
so cheap. Why would you sell those? What are you going to possibly get for
How
them?
much could you get for
Like,
those?
it's actually quite a bit of money.
It's like,
Yeah, so that's how I feel about the whole the whole watch anxiety thing, which you make a whole separate video about easily. But
Sure.
but so here's the point. Like, I know with my whole body that
Yeah.
these watches will be worth more. I bet you I can buy a beach Daytona around 50 at some point if I stalk it out.
sure.
Right?
Yep.
We seem to be on the
All you have to do is fly to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. We seem to be on the brink of
Happy
economic
gentleman
doom.
joke. Yep.
Right? That's totally feasible. At what number do I say fuck it, buy the watch?
Should I predict?
Yeah. I got a number.
48.
Yeah, I was gonna say 47.
No.
Wow, we're good.
Wow.
We're good. That's number one. I don't think they'll reach that number. I think that's really low.
Okay,
But I
sure.
will tell you this, that if those watches, first of all, right now at 60, if you're sitting on a bunch of cash and you're looking to buy a great watch that's going to go up in value, buy these watches. And I'm telling you, the green one specifically, the blue one too, but the green one's better.
Yeah.
I don't know
Because
which one.
specifically, it's not the Tiffany.
Exactly.
It will never be a Tiffany color.
Exactly.
Even though it is kind of close. It's like
Right.
a mix of Tiffany. Yeah.
But these watches are going to go up exponentially, I feel. Okay, they have all the markings. It's a precious metal. It's a really wild strap. It's a great
Yep.
story. It's limited production. It's super distinctive. Never underestimate the peacock value.
And it was a
right?
failure. I think that is one of the
And it was
biggest
a failure.
marketing things ever. It failed.
I said this from day one, back when I really didn't know, I'm a student of watches, God knows. But back when I really knew a hell of a lot less,
Yeah.
I used to just say like, I don't know, like super humbly, like, I just feel like some of the small details in vintage Rolex are too small for the mass market to notice. I think I used to say the average guy to notice.
Sure.
And these watches are not that rare, so you would need a lot of average guys to care. And I don't think that's going to happen at scale.
Yep.
And everyone was like, oh yeah, you're wrong. And I'm like, I was right. I was actually right.
We'll give an example. Not because I don't think you're right.
Yeah, yeah. Like with a lot of subs specifically.
Sure.
Right. A lot of folks were pushing a lot of small details on subs 5 years ago, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Or 8 years ago. And they did go up from where they were, right? Whether it was meters first, whether it was, I don't even follow that world, to be honest. But it was underline, or it was this particular gilt, or this
zero
mark,
looks like
or
an
Mark
O.
3, or Mark 4,
Sure.
all these different things. And they did go up from where they were. You know, I was wrong that they wouldn't increase.
Right.
But I kind of knew they would increase. But people lost their shirts.
Screaming investment. Yeah,
everything went nuts.
Yep.
And then everything crashed.
Yeah.
And everyone lost a lot of money.
Yep.
Right. And even if you only lost like the profits that you thought you were going to gain, that's still like you lost potential profit. Like you didn't realize you lost money.
Right.
You know, you owned an asset worth $85,000 and you sold it for $29,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, because no one cared. Overnight, people stopped caring.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So whereas the Daytona, Beach Daytona,
sure,
it's such an obvious, glaringly obvious thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need to dumb down ideas. And I do that literally every day.
Right.
Like literally, right?
Yeah,
like how often, like how we had business conversations where I'm like, let's just dumb this down.
Right.
It's like, this is really loud. People like loud. People like heavy. The reason why people don't like white gold is because it's not yellow. It's not loud enough.
Right.
But this is the loudest white gold watch ever.
Yep.
And it's a rare Rolex Daytona, Daytona being the most popular model. It's a no-brainer. Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.
So here's a question.
Yes.
How high do you think it will go in 5-10 years?
Mid-hundreds.
Mid-hundreds.
Yeah.
So why don't you buy now at 60s?
You're right.
Because you think it's going to go lower?
No, you're 100% right.
Oh, okay.
That's a strictly emotional. It's dumb. It's dumb. I just have, I definitely live like, I mean, I like to spend
it's
money.
the fear that you were talking about from before.
It's not fear. It's like the same way that you feel about the yellow gold date.
Sure.
I have the same feeling sometimes about things that I want to buy. It's just more money.
Right. Right.
I'm like, that's an whole thing to buy. Like,
I am
who
not
do you
that
think
guy.
you are? Like, you already got a white gold GMT, like, and that was kind of a lot of money. Like, stop being a weirdo that just
like the say I'm gonna check you level.
Right. That's right. You know what I mean? That's like this kind of like, aren't you happy yet, my man?
Right.
Why don't you just go buy a Piaget for $4,000?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you really need to go spend $65,000 on Rolex Daytona?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
That's like, I don't know. So there's a bit of a there's
that feeling where I'm talking about where it's like the day.
What would my dad say? My dad would be like, buddy, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, buddy.
Come on.
Bud. Give me a call. Yeah.
What are we doing over here?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
What is money going out of style? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get rid of it all. You know what I mean? Like, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right. That's kind of dumb.
There's a specific level of like, nah, that's not that. I just can't touch that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And yeah, period. You know, it's just a little bit silly. And keeping in mind, I don't sell things ever.
It's true.
Fucking ever.
I've seen it.
Like, so it's like I hoard nice watches.
Yeah, you do.
I don't sell to buy.
Right.
Like ever. So that's another thing. Sell to buy.
You don't sell to buy?
I don't liquidate something to buy something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So it's like, aren't you happy yet? How many do you need?
Yeah, right.
And I'm not saying don't buy that, like I said about the Piaget, like buy the thing that you really like so long as it's like not going to make... I think
what you're saying, buy the thing that you really like, but don't be like, I bought the thing that I really like, but I also really like that, so I should buy that because that's the thing I really like. But 100%. I also like that. That's the thing I should buy.
What did you and I talk about on the Zero a couple of weeks ago? We were like talking about museums, and I was like, remember when I came back from Paris?
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, I don't know, this is like a super like childish thing to think about because it's not very like it's like a very rudimentary kind of idea, kind of sophomoric even. But the idea was, wow, it's kind of cool that like, and I'm an avowed capitalist. I believe in private ownership of anything, but it's like, it's kind of cool that some rich dude doesn't own all these paintings.
I like that. I could see that.
Yeah, it's cool that the public gets to see that.
Yeah, right.
Because an institution bought them and then show them off. That's cool.
Yeah.
You don't
I
need
agree.
to own everything. And maybe we shouldn't own everything. I didn't walk past the Matisse. I didn't walk past Matisse and say, why don't I own that?
I need that.
I was like, wow, I'm so lucky to see this.
It's the same with a full watch box. You're like you see posts of people with a watch box this big, lined with beautiful watches. And like, what should I get next? And it's like,
I don't know. I feel like you've got a lot.
Maybe I should get less.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you appreciate any of those
And
things.
I know this is kind of silly to say on a watch channel because I do believe you should continue buying watches and pursue your passion and buy them wisely.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to continue buying watches, guys. Like I buy watches all the time. I love fucking watches.
Yeah.
But I just think it's, like anything. Like I love alcohol, right? But it's like, I love burgers. Consume responsibly.
If you
know what I
overconsume,
mean? Like,
you lose your enjoyment, like basically 1-to-1,
which is
starts
just
going
the
down.
ultimate disaster.
Oh yeah,
right. Like that's the ultimate problem.
Yeah,
to kill your own passion by making it unhealthy.
Yeah, right.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
And my advice, and wow, this really became like a theoretical kind of episode, but or a philosophical episode. A lot of folks like within, I've talked about this with a friend of mine recently, and it's like a lot of folks feel that well, it's another year. I could buy another watch.
My allocation is one a year to myself.
One a year, and my limit is $10,000.
Sure.
And again, I know that people are going to say I'm an asshole for saying that, but that is how a lot of people are.
I've heard people say that. Like, I have 2 more watches left this year. What should I get? Whether
you are that way, not just making you feel bad. I don't care.
Sure.
What I'm just saying is that's how a lot of people behave.
Sure.
And my advice to those people is oftentimes it's like, do you need another watch?
Right.
You're like,
of course not.
Of course not. Or like, I want it. And I'm like, right. You want it because you think it's going to make your life richer, meaning more fun.
Of course.
Great. Take that $10,000. It's like, again, not that vacation's everybody's jam.
Of course.
But it's like, go on vacation with your wife.
Right.
And
take your watch that you were going to take last year.
Totally.
Because that's why you got that watch.
You know what I mean? Like, go out to a nicer dinner.
Sure.
I don't just mean like it doesn't just spend more money. Go out to more dinners. Life is there's so many ways to derive pleasure in life. And you can do so many of them in healthy moderation and have a really full, beautiful life. Yeah. And I say all the time, like I would have my fucking Datejust and maybe 1 or 2 other watches if that meant that was the only way that I can continue traveling and eating and drinking and having fun with my friends and family.
Yeah, of course.
I love watches, guys. Like this isn't just my job. It's the thing I know most about, like in the world. Like it's the only,
Although I did read a comment that said John Mayer forgot more about watches than you know.
That may be true.
That
may be true. I mean, that may be true. I mean, yeah. And
I'm just kidding with you. Obviously, you know that.
Is that a real comment?
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm bringing it up tangentially as a joke.
No. God, I know I know your intentions all the time. Like that it may be true, right? I didn't buy a bunch of fake balloons.
Well, okay, that wraps that up.
Maybe winner's curse on John's end.
Sure.
But if I had his money, I'd burn mine. But the point is, I love watches and I love to buy watches. Sure. God knows. But we should just have a little bit more of a healthy and full life. And if I buy that Rolex Daytona, forget about the money of it. Like, can one afford it? And shouldn't always, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Like whether or not you can or cannot buy that. Are you going to feel any certain negative way about it? Are you going to feel a little yucky about it at any point?
Sure.
Is it going to make you less likely to like fly to Florence on a Wednesday because you kind of can and it's not a big deal?
Is going out to dinner going to make you be like, oh, I don't want to go out to dinner?
Right.
Yeah.
One of my biggest things was, at watch events when guys are showing off how much money they have and then a check comes and then they get stingy.
Right.
It's like,
wait a minute.
So you're
wearing 2 Jorns, one on each wrist.
You have a little bit of money.
Sure.
Congratulations. You have no wisdom.
Right.
Who won here? And period. Period. So am I going to sell my whole watch collection to buy this watch? No, I'm not.
Right.
No, I'm not. Down the road, could I see myself buying a watch that I don't think that is I think it's a lot of money as like from a strictly investment perspective? Yeah, maybe. I don't have those in my collection right now. Right. I don't. Any watch in my collection that I have that I hold on to as an investment, I hold because I bought them so cheaply that they're tying up no capital.
Right.
Like none.
Right.
I never bought a super expensive watch in my life and said, this has a upward mobility that I think is interesting to me.
You didn't buy a crash at 120.
No.
Like, this is going at 250.
I
Right.
bought it at 40 and sold it at 80.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and at 80, I was like, let me get my money out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because what if I lose? You know, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that's the long and the short of it. I have watches I will sell. Definitely.
Yes.
I definitely own watches that I will sell one day. And I think that realization has brought me even closer to the watches that I know that I won't.
The keepers.
100%.
Yep.
I wear them with so much love now. Someone said to me the other day, I just said this in the other episode, like, oh, you're wearing the Pepsi again. And I was like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am wearing the Pepsi again. Like, that's my dad.
Yep.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's sweet.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's watches, guys. If you guys like this episode, please like it. And if you'd like more content from Theo and Harris, head on over to The Zero. Link is down below. It's a private community where we post podcasts every week and do community engagement constantly. If you do go ahead and join, even on a 7-day free trial, shoot me a DM and we'll chat about watches. See you on over at The Zero.
Yes, sir.
Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.